Welcome back to another awesome anime review by yours truly, the great Chad Marco. So, today, obviously, I will be reviewing the Chainsaw Man anime. Chainsaw Man is a new anime that has taken the anime world by storm. It's become immensely popular in a very short amount of time. I remember. I feel kind of bad now, though. I can't lie because I remember hearing about it. Maybe well over a year ago, and I planned on buying the manga. I had it saved on my Amazon favorites. I was like, because I've heard people talking about it here and there. And I was like, let me go ahead and get ahead of the curve. Because I knew that the way people were talking about it, I knew like, okay, something's going to happen with this. But I kept putting it off, and I never got around to actually buying the manga. I was collecting One Punch Man manga instead. And so right before the anime came out, I said, you know what, fuck it, let me just go ahead and read the manga. I only read like the first 4 volumes or so. So right up until the point of the end of the anime, actually. And to be honest, I thought that the manga was kind of underwhelming, given the reception or how people were talking about it. I was like, this is, I didn't think it was anything special, but I'll go. Spoiler alert: the anime, I believe, is better than the manga, or at least it had a much more, it had more of an effect on me as far as liking it than the manga did. But we'll get to all of that later. I just want to give some background on what I know about or knew about Chainsaw Man before now that it's at the top of the anime food chain. But let's get right into the review, shall we? So let's get into some details here. So, Chainsaw Man was created by Tatsuki Fujimoto for the the Shonen magazines in Japan. Of course, it is an action comedy horror anime / manga, and it was released in 2018 and is still in serialization to this day. So let's get to the plot. Chainsaw Man begins with the introduction of a young man named Denji. Years ago, when Denji was a child, his father, who was in serious debt with the local Yakuza, committed suicide to avoid those debts, leaving the debt to fall onto the head of Denji. So the Yakuza boss coldly informs Denji that unless he can pay off a substantial portion of the debt in a short amount of time, he will be killed. Knowing that this would be pretty much impossible and filled with despair, Denji believes that his time is up. Then he meets a dog devil, and I'll explain the devil part later, who has a chainsaw sticking out of his head. Denji believes that the devil is going to kill him, but then he realizes that he's actually injured. Denji agrees to give the devil some of his blood to help him recover, but in exchange, he must help Denji get out of his predicament. So from there, Denji goes off and uses the dog devil to kill another devil and presents it to the Yakuza boss, striking up a deal where Denji will work as a devil hunter to periodically pay off his debts over time. So fast forward, and Denji is now a young man. Still, he's doing odd jobs and killing low-level devils for the Yakuza, as well as selling various body parts for extra cash, like his eye, his left nut, things like that. But despite his efforts, he still has barely put a dent into his overall debt and lives in near total poverty with his devil dog, Posta. Life at this point is pretty bleak for the young man, and it's about to get worse. The Yakuza boss calls up Denji for another devil slaying job out at an abandoned warehouse. But as it turns out, the boss made a deal of his own with the zombie devil, who agreed to give him and his crew power, but in exchange for the life of Denji and Posta due to their hunting of his fellow devils. Denji attempts to escape, but then he is brutally murdered by the large group of Yakuza, now turned zombies, by the zombie devil. Denji is then tossed into the trash with Posta, but Posta, still barely clinging to life, merges himself with Denji, putting him back together and bringing him back to life, but now with some pretty kick-ass powers. Kind of like, if you guys ever seen Gurren Lagann, I love Gurren Lagann. Gurren and Lagann were two separate mechs, and they weren't that spectacular on their own. But when they combined, they became Gurren Lagann, a super mech. That's kind of what happened with Denji and Posta. Separately, they weren't shit, but together they become something amazing. But because Posta was essentially a chainsaw devil, the powers this merging bestowed onto Denji are in line with this, meaning that Denji can now produce chainsaws from various parts of his body. He's much faster, stronger, and more durable, of course, and capable of recovering from serious injury by consuming blood. And as you probably guessed by now, once revived, Denji then proceeds to get revenge on his killers, cutting them all to pieces in an awesome display of chainsaw blade fuel carnage. Now, when it's all said and done, and Denji is the last man standing, in walks a mysterious woman who happens to be a professional devil hunter working directly under the government. And her name is Makima. Fascinated by Denji's powers, she offers him a deal. Work for her as a devil hunter or be disposed of. Now, Denji, who is smitten by her good looks and offers of being able to eat good food for once, agrees and begins his adventure into the not so fun world of devil hunting. Well, professional devil hunting. And just to give you guys a bit of knowledge on the world of Chainsaw Man and how things work. So obviously you have devils and devil hunters. Devils aren't like some big secret that people don't know about. The existence of devils is well known. So much so that hunting them has been made into an actual occupation. Devils come in many different shapes and forms. Like some are nearly harmless. Most are very dangerous. Some of them are even friendly towards humans, but most of them would rather eat humans. Humans, being much weaker than the average devil, have resorted to making contracts with the more cooperative or captured devils. These contracts allow them to utilize the powers of devils to fight other devils, but at a price, and sometimes a very steep price. The most dangerous devil is considered to be the gun devil, who was able to kill over 1 million people in just a few minutes before disappearing and never to be seen since. And it's the top priority for devil hunting agencies around the world. Denji is kind of a special case because instead of having a traditional contract with a devil, he is one with a devil inside of him. He's one with the devil instead of I made a contract with it. He's in me. Like I benefit from having him in my body. Okay, so I benefit from, okay, you get it, it's funny, gay jokes. So he's not as fragile as most of his co-workers who tend to be formidable offensively, but vulnerable defensively. Okay, so now that the plot and situation is established, let's talk about the characters. So first we have Denji, the main character, and yet another goofy but kind-hearted protagonist who wows his peers with unexpected strength and ability to overcome seemingly all odds. We've never seen that before. I'm not gonna dig into this too much, but I just wish that manga writers, illustrators would be more creative. Like, what? Every anime protagonist does not have to be some fucking goofball. Why couldn't Denji have the serious personality of Aki, who we're gonna talk about? Like, why couldn't, like, are there any shonen anime where the main character is the straight laced one, the uptight one, and the secondary sidekick character is the goofball, please let me know. Because I just get so tired of this same dynamic of the goofy protagonist and the more serious sidekick guy that's fucking uptight but slightly weaker than the main. I mean, I'm so tired of this shit. But whatever. I digress. Let's get. I just had to go in on that a little bit. So Denji, he is kind of an interesting character, despite being a chip off the old Goku block. Now, I remember when I initially read some of the manga, I thought his motivations were kind of lame. The juvenile perversions and being willing to sell his soul for a good breakfast, but it makes a lot more sense when you look at the fact that he lived in such a bad state for most of his life. And for the first time, he's able to enjoy the basics of life that we all take for granted, like regular baths and meals, having allies, the company of beautiful girls. I don't even have that. You know, he's not trying to become Hokage like Naruto. He's not trying to find One Piece like Luffy. And even his goal of killing the big bad gun devil has more to do with wanting to have sex with Makima than anything personal. So it can be hard to fully get behind characters without a grand purpose, but I can understand why Denji is more concerned with the little things in life. And it's because those little things are big to him because he never had them. But as far as his actual personality, I would describe him as being annoyingly juvenile, to be honest. And, excuse me, you kind of expect this with the goofy but powerful Boy Scout anime protagonist types, but it's really taken to the extreme with Denji, and it's not even endearing a lot of the times, but it does work to great effect sometimes. I just think it's hit or miss with him. But as aloof and degenerate as he may seem at times, he still has that anime Boy Scout trait that appears when it matters most. Like when he saved Power's cat despite Power betraying him, which is the classic save the bad guy and make him an ally trope, right? And one of the themes in Chainsaw Man is the idea that the best devil hunters are the crazy ones, not the logical, strong, and brave types. And Denji seems to exhibit a lot of crazed and unhinged tendencies when fighting. Outside of battle, he's more like a typical slacker perv guy type character, but in combat, he turns into an absolute beast who seems to relish in the pain of his enemies, and that's actually kind of a rare trait for a shonen protagonist, so I will give him credit for that. So next we have to mention Pochta, the chainsaw dog devil that Denji befriended when he was a kid and eventually merged with to become Chainsaw Man. Now, not much is known about the true nature of this devil at this point in the story. Remember, we're just covering the anime. I know the manga is quite a bit ahead of where the anime is, so I'm sure that a lot is revealed during that time, but this is just the anime, and so not a lot is known about him at this point in the story, but it's obvious that there is more than meets the eye with this seemingly weak devil, because once Denji merges with Pochta, several of the high level devils that rhymes. I could turn that to a rap. Okay, but that he encounters makes it clear that they want him eradicated. So the Chainsaw Devil seems to be feared, but also targeted in the world of devils, even though in his dog form, he really wasn't much of a threat. Outside of his mysterious true nature, Pochta in his dog form, though, he behaved much like a normal, loyal, friendly dog would towards his master. But I'm sure more will be revealed about him later on in the story. So next, let's talk about Makima. So Makima is the head of one of the divisions of devil hunters in Japan working directly under the government. She recruits Denji after finding him after his battle with the zombie devil and leaves him smitten with her due to her beauty and kind treatment of Denji, who used to being treated like shit by everyone. Now, she's another character with an air of mystery about her. On one hand, she offers Denji a form of salvation, but on the other, it's not like he really had much of a choice anyway. So her true intentions regarding him is kind of unknown at this point. She does seem to be on good terms with most of the people working under her. being simultaneously serious and intimidating, but also personable, understanding, as well as wise in a way. The nature of her powers at this point in the story aren't clearly detailed, but in a single display of what she can do, it's obvious that she's very powerful. Being able to kill people without being anywhere near them. There was a scene where she was just straight squashing and exploding people who were in another part of town. And yeah, she's strong, obviously. Now I've heard some things about her. You know, it's the Chainsaw Man spoilers all over the place. I wink heard some things. I won't say much, but even this early in the story, there are hints dropped a few times showing that other characters question her morality and overall agenda. But as of yet, there isn't a lot of personal details revealed about her. So next we have Aki Hayakawa. Now you guys already know what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say. Vegeta, Sasuke, Hiei, Miyata. You know, no anime protagonist is complete without a serious, no-nonsense, uptight, tight-ass, straight man to balance him out. And that's exactly what Aki provides. So Aki is a devil hunter working under Miss Makima as well, and ends up getting paired with Denji despite not really liking him at first, of course. He became a devil hunter to avenge the death of his family who were killed by the gun devil incident when he was a kid. He sort of resents Denji because he doesn't really have a compelling reason to hunt devils like he does, and feels that he's only going to get himself killed unnecessarily. But despite his cold outward appearance, Aki is actually quite sensitive and has been known to cry for his fallen fellow devil hunters, which is kind of frowned upon given the fact that most hunters tend to resign themselves to the reality that death is common among their kind and try to harden themselves against that sort of emotion and attachment. And it's kind of a contrast to his outward demeanor. Again, it's the crazy ones who survive. Naturally, later on, he begins to warm up to Denji and acknowledges his strength, even taking a stab for him. I got to talk about that moment a little bit. So just real quick. So there's a part in the story where somebody is trying to stab Denji because a devil wanted Denji dead. And it was the only way he was going to let them all leave because they were trapped. Aki got in the way and got stabbed instead. Now, what's the point of that when Denji is the fucking Chainsaw Man? You give him half a cup of blood and he'll recover from getting his fucking brains blown out. That stab wouldn't have done shit. That's like me taking a bullet for Majin Buu. Like, Majin Buu, watch out! Boom, boom. Like, what the fuck? So, that part, I get it, right? It was supposed to show, his character growth for Aki and showing his true nature. I got you. Him growing to understand and appreciate what Denji brings to the table. I got it, but it was effectively stupid. To get stabbed when you're a regular human who can't recover from just drinking blood. Like, really, am I gonna take a bullet for Majin Buu? Fuck no. Shoot his fat ass. But he has 3 powers of note based on contracts that he has with demons. The first one is the nail that he carries in a sheath that puts a deadly curse on his foes in exchange for some of his lifespan. 2 is summoning a fox devil in exchange for blood. And 3 is the contract that he has with the future devil that allows him to see slightly into the future. But for a standard, uptight, serious, cool guy character, he's pretty likable. I will say that. So next we have Power. Now Power might actually be my favorite character. So she is a fiend, which I'm still kind of confused about, because what exactly is the difference between a devil and a fiend? Is it like the fiend from Nocturne, the main character, and how he is different from the standard demon? I really don't know, but whatever. But yeah, she was a wild fiend that would feast on the blood of animals. Then one day she found a starving stray cat and took care of it to fatten up for a later meal, but then came to love the cat as a companion. The cat, however, was kidnapped by a bat devil, and she joined the devil hunters as a ploy to trick a human into his lair to be eaten. In exchange, she would get the cat back. Follow? So she does this by betraying Denji. He forgives her and saves the cat anyway. They friends now. Typical shonen shit. But you know, the whole my enemy who just tried to kill me is now my best friend. You know, that's that whole thing. But she is a fiend working for the devil hunters. They kind of treat her like a watchdog, really. Like, you don't get the sense that she has the same rights and freedom to do things such as resign like her human allies. Kind of similar to Denji, really. But like Denji, she has very modest expectations out of life and doesn't seem to mind her implied constraints. Her personality is very all over the place, though. She's very energetic and eccentric. She's a compulsive liar. She's messy like a barnyard animal, and not even all that trustworthy or dependable when it comes to battle. Outright betraying Denji at one juncture and running away from a dangerous battle at another. Yet at the same time, she expresses a great deal of softness and love when it comes to her cat Meowie. But I think what's so cool about her is that she really does behave like a neutral party who's not heavily invested in anything outside of her base desires. But like you would expect from an animal or a fiend. So it's like her personality perfectly fits what she's supposed to be. Like she's not evil, but she's not really good either. She just seems like purely neutral and self-serving like an animal. But her power is based around blood. She's able to turn blood into various types of weapons and whatnot, and she's extremely strong. Cute, strong girl, typical anime shit. We got it. Next, we have Himeno. Himeno is a devil hunter as well. She has quite a bit of experience going as far back as being Aki's first partner when he first joined the agency. Himeno comes across as being the rare type of person that would be good at such a dangerous job, but also she doesn't see much reason not to get out for her own sake. Like, just think when you have a talent for something, but you're not actually passionate about it. That's kind of how Himeno seems to me. Himeno has very heavy Ara vibes or myth vibes because she's older than both Aki and Denji, and she likes to tease them a bit. But Aki in particular, because she has a very serious romantic attraction towards him, or she likes his face rather, but can't seem to fully get through to him because of his single-minded goal of slaying the gun devil, of course. She's much more laid back and loose than Aki and some of the others. So she's always trying to corrupt him in subtle ways, like influencing him to smoke cigarettes and getting his ears pierced. And she even tried to throw Denji some pussy after getting sloppy drunk. But I almost get the sense that a lot of her behaviors are a way to cope with the stress of having such a dangerous, depressing job. And it's all kind of depressing, really, if you read between the lines. But her power is that she has a contract with a ghost devil of some sort, and she can use the various parts of the ghost to like strangle people and do ghost devil stuff. So those are the most primary characters in this part of the anime, but there are some honorable mentions. First is Kobini, who is another devil hunter. She's known for being very timid and scared. Very cute and really kind of funny character in her own way, to be honest. I think she's also a fan favorite and a favorite of mine. But yes, she's like the scaredy cat devil hunter who tried to kill Denji earlier on in the story when they got trapped by the Eternity Devil, and nice hijinks with her. There's also a OG devil hunter. I'm not even sure what his name is, if they even named him at this point in the anime, but he's the teacher or the master who teaches Denji and Power how to get stronger, how to fight better as devil hunters. So he's basically a way to introduce some of the main characters to their first training arc and power up, so to speak. But yeah, he's also a devil hunter. I think he said that he's considered to be like the strongest one out of that particular division. But yeah, very strong OG training arc man. And last but not least, we got to talk about the Katana Devil. So he's the first big bad guy. And he's the grandson of the Yakuza boss that tried to kill, that Denji was working for, and tried to kill Denji earlier on in the story. So obviously he has a beef with Denji, not just because of his affiliation with the Devil Hunters, but because Denji killed his grandfather. And at this point, I don't know a lot about him, but he obviously has a similar makeup as Denji, because he basically has the same power that Denji has, except instead of chainsaws, he has katanas coming out of his arms and head. And so he's promptly called the Katana Devil, at least by me. So yeah, those are the most important characters from this portion of Chainsaw Man. That is, now let's get to the good and the bad. Okay, so let's start off with the good. So, and this one is obvious once you start watching it. The animation quality is amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know, I tweeted out, I said, I'm not sure if Chainsaw Man is good or if it's the fact that they put a bazillion yen into the animation budget. And I'm serious when I say that, because when I read the first part of the manga, I really wasn't that impressed. But jumping into the anime, immediately everything just felt better. And I don't know if it's just because every episode is so well animated. I'm telling you, like, every episode is like movie quality, like anime movie quality. They obviously put a huge budget behind creating this anime. Now, if it's not just that, it could be the case that this is just an anime that translates very well, or rather, it's a manga that translates very well into anime. But whatever the case may be, the animation quality is top notch. I mean, even some of the most insignificant scenes, like, you know, those standard scenes of like, okay, just a shot over the city or outside of a house, like everything looks so crisp and clean, and just like every single scene was done with love, care, and money. Big yen. And it's really a treat seeing that. It really is, because you know, a lot of times anime just doesn't get a great budget, and just seeing such high quality drawing and animation and CG and all that, it's a treat. And I think because of the simplicity of Chainsaw Man's story and setting, putting so much into that aspect of it just breathes. It just breathes pure life, pure anime life into it. Let me tell you, bro, this show has such a big budget. There's a different ED for every episode. There's a different ending song and sequence for all 12 episodes. Typically, you don't get another opening or ED until after a season. You get like one a season. They got 12 in one season. And they weren't just half-ass garbage. Like, each ED looked like it could have been the main ED for a whole season. Seriously. But again, I'm not sure if it's the money, the animation budget that made it pop so much. Because just for example, right? When I read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, I like the manga more than I like the anime, to be honest with you. So it's not always the case that the anime is going to be better by default because of sound effects and colors and music. I really enjoyed reading the manga. For whatever reason, I enjoyed it more than when I watched anime. But with Chainsaw Man, it's the opposite. I enjoyed the anime more than I enjoyed reading the manga. The manga, and just being real, the manga, I was like, oh, like, what's so special about this? For the most part, typical shonen shit, just more blood and guts. But it translates so well in the anime. But let me stop gushing over the look. It looks amazing. Another good thing about Chainsaw Man is that it has very good humor. Now there are certainly funnier shows out there, but I gotta say that Chainsaw Man, I found myself laughing out loud a couple times, but I kind of knew that going into it. If you saw when I was reading the manga on stream, I would read certain parts and I would say, oh, that's going to be funny in the anime. Because it really does have genuine good humor. And I think part of it is that, now, I will give Chainsaw Man credit for this. This is nothing I give it credit for. There is good chemistry between the characters that it has. Now, the characters are cookie cutter shonen shit, but the chemistry between characters like Denji and Power, and then you throw Aki in the mix, it's undeniable. It's undeniable the chemistry that they have. It kind of reminds me of Hajime with Takamura and Aoki and Kimura, like that kind of chemistry. Like some characters just have a great chemistry with one another. And that's what this show has, and I think that that's what really contributes to the humor in it. And also it's a lot of it, again, like the whole vomit in the mouth thing, like who would have saw that coming, right? That was an example of just pushing the envelope a bit there. Certain story developments later, but I haven't gotten to that, so I can't speak on it. But at this point, what I'm seeing is that it's a throwback, fun, hyper violent anime like Hellsing or Devilman and stuff like that. Like just blood and guts and different monsters and demons and a lot of dark dark themes and whatnot. And I think that's part of the reason why I think it translates so well into anime. Plus you add in the big budget that it obviously has. It's hard not to have fun with this anime, because again, like I said, it's a throwback. It really is, in my opinion, it's a throwback to shit like Hellsing. So let's talk about the bad. So first off, Denji is annoyingly juvenile, and I don't know if that's because I'm getting old. I'm 30 years old now, so maybe I finally matured a bit, right? But I don't think that's it. But because there were certain points or rather, I should say, anyone who's seen this, that Denji has these moments where he's like, pretty much boobas, like, oh, breast. I want to, like, just little perverted moments. And okay, here's a perfect example. Right, of what I'm talking about. And this kind of ties into the next issue a little bit too, but it's a perfect example. When Denji saves Power from the Bat Devil, and she asked him why I betrayed you, and he basically said, oh, because I wanted to touch your breast. Like, for me, a moment like that, it didn't hit for me because I knew it was bullshit. That's what I'm saying. And it's like, I feel like to a certain degree, some of those little statements and things that he does, it's like, I wouldn't say like a cover up, but it's really kind of shallow. Like, you could do, like, with Moroku from Inuyasha, for example, the whole perverted monk thing, like that was funny. But I just feel like with Denji, it doesn't hit sometimes because I think they're trying too hard. And you already know Denji is not about that. That's not Denji's character. Like when you look at how when Himino tried to throw him some pussy and the way he rejected it, like, bruh, you are a normal ass shonen character. You're not gonna do nothing out of the ordinary. Let's just face it. Like you're destined for one cookie cutter basic girlfriend later somewhere in the story. Let's be real. You're not gonna do you're not gonna do shit. Like this is all just to give you some type of character. And that's what I don't really like about this shit. It's just that, again, I see what they're trying to do, but it's not hitting for me because I know that there's nothing really there. And that leads me to the next problem that I have with it, is that it suffers from shonen formula constraints. And I talked about this earlier, but like a perfect example is the typical my enemy is now my friend shit, where power betrays him. And I remember I read it on stream. I remember, and I said it even before it happened. I said, "Oh, he's gonna save her. He's gonna forgive her. He's not gonna hold like," because that's the shonen protagonist way. And see, that's part of the reason why I wasn't really impressed with Chainsaw Man when I first read. Okay, like, yeah, it's violent. You got monsters and boobas. I got you, but at the end of the day, you're still constrained by the shonen formula. I know what you can and can't do. She betrayed you, and you're gonna forgive her, and everything's gonna work out. You're gonna be friends. I already know that. Aki told you that you shouldn't be friends with devils. You said that you can. You're the protagonist. You dictate what's right and wrong. You're right. He's wrong. I already know. I already know. So stuff like that hurt. It hurts, and you know. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Let me see if I can just pull it up real quick if I can, because I had a friend in my Discord server who commented on Chainsaw Man because he just watched it, and I think he summed up this point so perfectly. I tweeted it and everything. Let me see if I can just real quick. Give me a second here. Okay, I got it. So this is what he said, and I think he hit the nail on the head. I saw that anime today. It's all one clever form of foreplay between author and viewer. Most of its fetish undertones of the author himself. Its originality is held back by the obligatory shonen structure. The villain was such a shallow forced dog shit. When will the stupid gaijin wake up to formulaic shonen shit like he has slowly recognized how cape shit is mostly shallow courts of genetic formulas? Japanese cartoons are just a different flavor of nothing particularly stands out from his Western counterpart. A different coat of paint on a turd. A fuck. That felt good to get out. And generally speaking, I agree with what he said. Generally speaking, I agree with what he said, because what you have with Chainsaw Man is, like he said, there's a certain level of originality, but when you limit yourself to the rules of the shonen formula, you become predictable. I know what you can do. I know what you can't do. Okay, yeah, you beat the Katana Devil. Spoiler alert. You cut him in half. But he ain't dead. You got him captured. You're not going to kill him. Okay, they let him kick him in the balls. But still, that's just pushing the line a little bit. They caught him, but you're not going to kill. Yeah, he might be responsible for the deaths of most of your team, but you're not gonna kill this guy. He's going to be fine. And that's exactly what it was, outside of his ball sack, getting kicked the shit in. And then the girl with the snake, another spoiler alert, because I'm going in now. I'm going in. Notice how the girl with the snake devil, another enemy of the devil hunters, notice how she conveniently died by her own devil killing her, because they wouldn't allow the protagonist to kill her. The enemy can kill the fuck out of everybody on your side, but you're constrained. They're not gonna say it, but I know what it is. If we kill them, we're no better than... And that's what I'm saying. Like, for all this originality, at the end of the day, I know that you're only going to push the envelope but so far. You would rather let a girl vomit in somebody's mouth than let that same character drink alcohol, or let an underage character drink alcohol or smoke a cigarette. That's the silliness of the shonen formula. Enemy is now my friend. Convenient enemy deaths. No sex, no drugs. I got it. And that's the bad thing about Chainsaw Man. It's fun. It's funny. The animation quality is out of this world. Some of the best of this season. If not in years. But at the end of the day, if you're adhering to the rules of the shonen formula for the protagonist, at the end of the day, your work is going to be predictable. At the end of the day, nothing really like cool stuff is going to happen. But as far as significant story beats and shit, nah. So let's talk about the score. Now, I know I just went in, but I had to get that off. Don't worry. So let's get to it. So the action, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. There's very good action in the anime already. And I'm sure it's going to get better as the manga goes along and whatnot. But at this point, I didn't really see anything too special in terms of like the actual fight choreography. And yeah, just overall, I think it was more so just your typical blood and guts sort of action. Limbs getting chopped off, people getting shot, swinging blades at lightning speed, things like that. But there really wasn't too much that I would say sets it apart from the typical action anime. But I will give it a 3.5. The plot at this point, I give it a 2.5. I keep hearing that it goes places as it goes along, and I trust that to be true. But again, we're looking at this from the anime, the first 12 episodes. And right now, I don't really think there's anything particularly special about its plot. It's pretty standard, not all that amazing. But I think it has a good, like, the groundwork that's laid, I can see how it could get better. The animation, I give it a 5 out of 5. I mean, they must have taken the whole Japan budget and put a quarter of it into Chainsaw Man. They said, like, the prime minister had to say, look, let's just take 1/4 of our entire budget and put it into Chainsaw Man. I'm telling you, 12 EDs, every episode looks like a fucking movie. Oh my God. I haven't seen anything like this in a while. But yeah, 5 out of 5. The music, 3.5. I think the music fit very well with not just the anime, but specific scenes. I think the music was good at setting the tone. And when you have certain scenes, the music has to reflect the emotions and the feelings and the vibe. And I think the music in Chainsaw Man did an excellent job of that. And again, 12 EDs, and at least half of them had good songs. So, you know, I got to give them a good score for that. The comedy, I give it a 3 out of 5. It is a funny anime, some laugh out loud moments, good humor, thumbs up. Ichi, I give it a 2.5 out of 5. It can be a little raunchy, I ain't gonna lie. You know, because and a lot of it has to do with Denji's little perversions and shit like that. Not necessarily like girls walking around in bikinis and shit, but there are just some moments that kind of, you know, I'll give it some Ichi points for that, you know. Overall, I give Chainsaw Man a resounding 8 out of 10. But I'll say this, because I kind of struggled with what to score it for a while. I was mixed between an 8 and an 8.5. Big difference, I know. But I ultimately settled on an 8 because I don't want to get too blinded so blinded by the wonderful animation quality that I forget the fact that I read the manga first. And that story won't pop in for me. And the story in the anime is the same story in the manga. And I think at this point, it's an 8 out of 10. But Chainsaw Man, I can see that it has the potential to be a 9 out of 10. I predict that as we go along, based off what I'm hearing other people say about it, and the groundwork that's already been established, I predict that Chainsaw Man is going to become a 9 out of 10 for me. Because you got to look at it like this. Imagine if you judged Dragon Ball Z off the first... No, Dragon Ball off the first 12 episodes. Not Dragon... Like, I'm talking Goku in the hut. Bulma shows up. Imagine trying to judging that. The entirety of Dragon Ball Z off of the first 12 episodes. That's just, it's not fair. Because it goes so far beyond that. And right now, if you just look at the first 12 episodes of Chainsaw Man, this is a baby anime. Yeah, the manga is going a little bit further, but the anime is like, that's a baby. This is a baby. And so I have enough experience and time invested in the anime to know that, look, this is a baby with potential. Chainsaw Man has quite a bit of potential. And from what I hear other people say, it gets even better. And even now, it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's just that I think a lot of the things in it are just standard and not really impressive. But it translates very well to anime. But even then, I can't be sure how much of it is just the budget versus I'll put it like this. What's confusing me about Chainsaw Man, and I'll know as time goes on, is it more style than substance? Because undoubtedly the anime has style. But how much substance is there really? Because I feel like with the manga, when you read the manga, all you have is primarily it's the substance. You don't have the music and the animations and the quirky EDs and OPs and shit. You got straight story and art. That's substance. And I'm just not sure how much substance Chainsaw Man actually has. And I think that's going to be the big curiosity moving forward for me. So after I finish, I'm done watching this. I'm definitely going to continue reading the manga because I'm curious. Some of the things I've heard people say it's got me curious. So I'm definitely going to continue reading the manga. I might do like a follow-up or something like that because I'm pretty sure we're not going to see another season of the anime for months. So I'm going to go ahead and dive deep into the manga. I'm going to say this though. Wouldn't it be so disappointing if the second season doesn't get a similar budget? Like now, like I think they've set the bar too high. Do you guys remember what happened with One Punch Man? When the first season was just out of this world and everybody loved it. And then the second season came out and it wasn't as well animated. Remember the first season of One Punch Man it wasn't as well animated as this, but it was some top tier quality animation, a good budget. I remember when the second season came out and they first released those trailers, people were disappointed. Like, man, the quality just dropped. I'm worried that Chainsaw Man might suffer from that. Are they going to be able to can you keep this up? How long is this shit? That's the big question for me moving forward outside of trying to understand if it actually has more substance than what I've seen thus far. But that was my anime review of Chainsaw Man. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I don't know. I'm thinking about, I've gotten some recommendations that I'm thinking about looking into. But I'm also thinking about doing One Punch Man and possibly Gurren Lagann. I think One Punch Man and Gurren Lagann, I would expect those soonish, but I kind of want to get into something new that I haven't seen yet either. So we'll see. We'll see. I kind of want to take a risk and look at something new. But I would say expect at least One Punch Man or Gurren Lagann coming within the next 2 months or so. So hope you guys enjoyed that. And it's time for me to go. Johnny.